Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here this evening. This is really an outstanding opportunity to introduce myself. I do appreciate the invitation. Let me start by saying that my name is Marshall Bell. I am a candidate for City Council here in the 7th Councilmatic District. I think this crowd right here is a real testament to the significance of this particular race, the 7th Councilmatic race. As we all know, this is where the uprising took place some months ago. And we can see by the interest that's in this room how important this particular race is. I am 47 years old. I am a father of two sons. One of my sons is in college. My other son just joined the Navy last year. I am a member of the Bell family. Most of you already know that. I have deep roots here in Baltimore City, and particularly here in West Baltimore. The reason why I'm running for this office is very simple. The race, this particular race, this year, I believe is the most significant one in recent history, and not just at the top of the ticket as far as the president's race, not just as far as the mayor's race, but as far as each and every single councilmatic race. Who we decide to elect and to send to City Council is extremely important. I'm very confident in my ability, I'm very confident in my experience, and I believe I will best serve this district. I'm a legislative analyst at Baltimore City Council. I'm an elected member of the Democratic State Central Committee, and I'm ready to get started from day one. We need strong, effective leadership. People who know how to get things done, people who know the process. It's not just about vision, it's not just about passion. It's about how to get things done, to bring resources and to bring jobs to this district, to my district, the district that I love, West Baltimore. Thank you very much.
Next candidate would be Mr. Pickett.
Good evening. It's hard to imagine that it's been almost 20 years now when I first started as an assistant for Councilman Kiefer Mitchell. At that time, it was the 4th District and included many of the communities that make up the coalition. During that 8 years I was with Councilman Mitchell, I worked my way up to being his chief of staff by working hands-on with leadership throughout West Baltimore and being a strong advocate for communities and neighborhoods. From there, I transitioned to the Baltimore Development Corporation, where I worked in BDC for 9 years. And during that time at BDC, as a project manager, I worked on almost $1 billion worth of projects. I was the project manager for the Horseshoe Casino. I was the project manager for the $80 million redevelopment of Mondawmin Mall, the first Target in the city, the TGI Fridays. It was often said to me that there's no way you can bring tax increment financing to West Baltimore. It just won't happen. But we did it. $15 million worth of investment to Baltimore. While I was at BDC, I was responsible for bringing over 8 supermarkets to food deserts throughout the city. The Shoppers at Mondawmin Mall, and the one that I'm most proud of is the ShopRite in Howard Park, all the while creating thousands of jobs for city residents. From Kiefer's office to BDC, to now in my current role as the Assistant Deputy Mayor in the Mayor's Office of Mayor's Office of Economic and Neighborhood Development, my focus has always been on serving the citizens of Baltimore, and primarily the residents of West Baltimore. I was born in West Baltimore. My family lives in West Baltimore. I've made the choice to raise my family and my children in West Baltimore. I'm not simply looking for a job, and I'm not just running for an office. I'm asking you to trust me to do what I've done for the community for the past 20 years, and that's to serve with all of my ability, with all of my strength, and with all my commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pickett. The next person is Sean Tarrant.
Good evening. You can say Tarrant, you can say Tarrant, you can say Tarrant. Don't call me late for dinner. I am running for City Council in the 7th District because I have a lot of experience in working in my own community. If you're going to run for City Council, you've got to have the experience in serving the people you live around. And so for many years, I was the vice president and the president of the Ashburton community, where we had large houses in the Ashburton community. So the one thing we had a problem with, people moving into the community where we have large houses and people wanting to cut them up and make them into rooming houses, make them into assisted living facilities. That is not the original purpose of that community. And so I worked with City Hall to make it a residential R1 only community. So now it can only be single family only. And that's law. And that was when I was the vice president of the neighborhood association. Then I later became the president of the association. And so one of the things that I needed to do was I needed a fresh sign. If people are gonna move to the neighborhood, they have to have a good feeling about the community. We needed a new community sign. For 10 years, I chaired the Ashburton Flea Market to raise money, to even bring money so we could replace and have that new sign. And that got done within the first 2 years. I later ran for office. And I ran for the House of Delegates in 2006 and won, and served 8 years in the Maryland General Assembly. So not only am I a community leader, I'm also a previous elected official that knows how to get things done and get bills passed and how to work with folks. Too often we have people in our community that would like to get things done, but they don't want to work. As a city council person, I am going to ask you to work with me. I can get nothing done unless you tell me about your vision for our community and our district and our city, and we'll work together. And I ask that you come out and help me. Knock on doors here in West Baltimore. I want to make North Avenue the retail corridor that it used to be. We have shops there, we have places that we need to get started back up again, and I want to bring the resources to small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Mr. West.
What's up, Baltimore? Now that's all right, that's all right, that's all right for you to just, when we talk about the uprising and everything, that I can hear that. But when we talk about a brighter future, I should hear some excitement. I said, what's up, Baltimore? There we go. Listen, I'm not gonna be before you long tonight. I'll tell you, first of all, my name is Wesley West. I'm running for Baltimore City Council in the 7th Councilmatic District. The reason why I'm running is, first of all, is because you notice, if you look at the panel tonight, there are no young individuals up here my age but myself. These individuals are maybe 40 and over, 50, 60, whatever. I will say this, nothing wrong with that age, but however, it is something wrong when you don't have young people like myself doing something positive. It is something wrong when I just left a family that had a press conference and a candlelight because they just lost their loved one. Somebody my age, 27, 28 years old. I have a problem with that. And the reason why I'm running is because I'm the newfound hope to my generation. To let them know that though people say that you cannot do nothing, I'm a believer that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Thank you.
Candidate number 1, Mr. Bell. Question is, when we ask residents that what they would like to see happen to improve public safety and improve police community relations, the number one thing they asked for was more police foot patrol. Will you support the allotment of funding from Baltimore City budget for permanent police foot posts in high crime areas? Will you support funding for training to ensure that police cadets, seasonal officers, and commanders are trained to develop the skill set needed to ensure the equal and respectful treatment of the people they serve?
Yes. Thank you. When I was digesting this question, because it's simple, everybody's going to say the same thing. Of course, everybody does. Absolutely, of course we do. But the question really is a little bit deeper than that. We're talking about an issue of priorities, okay? What are the priorities of Baltimore City government? What are the priorities of the police department? Is it about locking up people? Because that's exactly what it is right now, exactly. It's about locking up people. We have to dig deeper to solve our public safety issues. I sit on the Public Safety Committee. I staff that committee at the City Council. And I see some of the legislation that comes through City Council. And most of it is reactive, okay? We have to be proactive about dealing, look, I live in Mondawmin. I live near Ricestown and Gwynns Falls, okay? I come through these streets every day, Pennsylvania and North. We know what goes on there. We know what goes on down here at Lafayette Market. Many young men on the corners not doing nothing but hustling. We gotta change this dynamic. We have to invest in people This city is not the buildings. The city is the people. So to answer your question, of course we want foot patrols. We want to decentralize the police department. We want to pull them out of the police cars. But that's only a Band-Aid fix. Most of what we're talking about is always Band-Aid fixes. We need to dig deeper into the systemic issues which put black men on the corners. Why are they hustling? Why are they selling? We have to give them jobs. We have to give them opportunities. Because all we're doing is just pouring water into a bucket that has holes full of holes. We're not solving the problems. Yes, we need to have police enforcement. Yes, we need to have more decentralized police foot patrols. Absolutely. But ultimately, that's not going to solve the problems. Because you know what? They're going to move from that corner to that corner. All we're going to see is go from one person's neighborhood to another person's neighborhood. We got to get to the real issues, and we need jobs, and we need economic opportunity. Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Bell that when we talk about public safety, it's much broader than just pure law enforcement. If we're going to talk about law enforcement, the police are responsible for law enforcement. But when we talk about public safety, all of us have a part in public safety, whether you be a business owner, whether you be part of the faith-based community, whether you be in the educational system. We all play a role in public safety. But the question was, would I support foot patrols? And absolutely would I support foot patrols. While we need to deal with the broader issues, there is still a crime element in our community that requires a law enforcement response. And so we need to identify resources that will allow for us to increase foot patrols, especially in light of, especially earlier today, we have the testimony of a longtime business owner for the Avenue Market talking about the challenges of even getting people into the market. At BDC, I worked collaboratively with merchants on how can we make our community safer. And so we need those foot patrols even in our commercial corridors, at our transit hubs, so that people can access the amenities that we're trying to bring to our communities. One of the recommendations that I would make as it relates to increasing the foot patrols doesn't even cost the city any money. During the course of the year, at least 2 or 3, I think maybe 4 times, there are 30 or 40 officers that are graduating from the academies in cohorts at least 3 or 4 times a year. There is no reason that we cannot create a policy right now where a significant portion of those officers are committed to both the Western and Central District. That's something that can happen today. That's something that doesn't cost any money, and we can make that happen. Thank you.
Okay.
You got to vote for more than just Sean on April 26th.
That's
But
a lot,
thank you.
Sean.
So is that the same question?
Yes.
We're good then. Everybody okay with the question so far? We got it, okay. So I do support more foot patrol, and I do agree with the 2 previous candidates, what they said about what they would do, so I support what they've already said, so I'm not gonna make that part redundant. But I'm gonna add a little extra to it. In order to have good foot patrol, you gotta have people who are patrolling in our areas that respect the community, that like the community. I was in sales for many years, in pharmaceutical sales, and I had the entire state of Maryland. There are certain parts in the state of Maryland I would go to that I didn't feel comfortable. And I was not successful. I didn't feel comfortable. I'd go places out in Western Maryland. I see people with hunting jackets on and rifles and pickup trucks. I don't feel good after 3 o'clock. And so I'm saying, these people out here got rifles. I need to get back to Baltimore City. And so I never did well as far as getting good sales and having good relationships because I didn't feel comfortable in certain parts of the state of Maryland just because I was not from that culture and they were not receptive to me. And so if we're going to have police officers in our district patrolling, we have to screen them better to make sure they want to be there. You want to help, you want to support. I want you to be a role model so our young people see our officers and want to be officers. Because it makes it even better when you have kids from Baltimore City become police officers and patrol in different parts of the city and they feel a part of it. They have skin in the game. So yes, I support foot patrol, but even more importantly, I support people with adequate training and sensitivities so they will be equipped to do a good job. Thank you.
Again, I support more police foot patrol, police walking the beat. In fact, I rallied earlier today, at the candlelight. We want justice, we want peace, and we want police officers walking the beat. So there it is. I do support that. I will say that there are The question, nobody answered this question. Where will we find the funding? Nobody answered that question. I hear them, it sounds good. But one thing I say is this high property tax that we have in Baltimore, how come we're using the people's property tax to redevelop downtown Baltimore when we walk outside these doors, there's poverty up and down these streets, all in this 7th Councilman district. I'm just speaking of this district. Not talking about East Baltimore. I'm talking about Baltimore as a whole. So what I would do is I would say this, hey, it's time to fund the police to be on the streets, having posts in these communities. But I would say we need to take it from the high property taxes that the residents are paying. That's what I would say. And I would say the answer, though I support more police on the street, I will say that is not the final answer. We still need somebody to reach these young millennials and give them discipleship. Thank you.
Second question. The No Boundaries Coalition and the Baltimore Youth Organizing Project listened to 237 young people between the age of 14 and 24 to hear what they needed to strive. They told us they needed more recreation in their neighborhoods and year-round jobs. Do you support the current proposal to allot 3% of the Baltimore City budget for youth opportunities? Do you support earmarking this fund for year-round youth employment and invested in recreation centers?
Thank you. The most important part of that statement was we listened to the young people. We listened to them. That's what's been missing, listening to our young people. We always have a plan for them. We don't incorporate them into the process. They don't feel like they're part of us. It's a them versus us. On the issue of recreation centers, they're very important. We must find the funding. But let's do something else with the recreation centers. I had an opportunity yesterday to speak to the building trades union. They're called Choice. And they have a apprenticeship program, okay, actually it's a career training program. The point I'm making is that, yes, we want to open up recreation centers, and of course I support the 3% set aside. Makes sense. The fact that the mayor vetoed that is a problem, but I anticipate that the city council will override that veto. We will. I'm going to say we, because I am in city council. I am down in City Hall. But we have to look more broadly at what we can do with these recreation centers. They should be centers of our community. This should be, we talk about community schools. We need community recreation centers where everybody's a part of that center, and where it can serve as a job training facility, not just for young men and women to play ball or for after-school programs, but to train young men and women to have careers. The city should partner with groups like Building Trades to develop apprenticeship programs to train our young men and women to have careers, to get jobs, to become a part of the fabric of society. Thank you.
There's no one in this room that would disagree that to identify resources for youth enrichment are necessary. But I wouldn't be a good steward of the resources, and I wouldn't be honest to you if I stood up here and told you that to set aside 3% from the budget is a good idea. The reality is, and I put it in this context, setting aside that 3% is like if I had a flat in my right rear tire, and instead of going to the gas station and getting new air, what I do is I take air out of the left rear tire and fill out that other tire. Sure, that tire has air in it, but now I got a flat on the other side. It would be irresponsible for me to stand before you, and maybe I'm just being, I'm kind of new to this political thing, and so maybe my honesty is just a little bit, I don't know, brash at this point. But there are creative, if we really say we love people, if we really say that kids are our concern, then we have to do the hard work of identifying creative resources and ways to raise revenue to really provide for our young people. And it takes hard work. I've worked in development for almost all my life, and I've never had a project where there wasn't a gap, where there wasn't a time when we had to figure out how to make this happen. And we had to be creative. We had to dig down into it and figure out, okay, how do we make this project work? How do we think outside the box? There are creative ways to raise the money that we desire to help our youth. But that 3% to our budget, we can't even run our own households thinking that way on a budget, let alone the budget of a city. Thank you.
I would also do a kind of combination of what you've already heard. We have 3% that we can use because we have so much waste in the budget. Too often we have people on the payroll that don't even show up for work. They're not supposed to be there. We also have people on the payroll that are getting health benefits that shouldn't be getting health benefits. That 3% is there. We just got to scrub the numbers. And also, when it comes to working with some of these larger development companies and some of these other retail establishments that want to come into the city, we can also use some of their resources to be able to help fund our after-school programs. And also, children are looking for jobs to work year-round. And that's important, that those who don't play sports, who don't have artistically inclined, that they also have things to do. And that's fine, because oftentimes when people want to bring their businesses to Baltimore, they tell us that they don't have the residents in Baltimore City who they can hire, saying that people don't want to come and work. And so the thing is, we've had more jobs as far as in the retail sector that we can prepare them for, that the rec centers and other places can help to train them so when they get their first job, they can keep that first job and have a good experience. And also we have to make sure that when the city has jobs, that they're not jobs that are not teaching them what to do. Someone mentioned before about some of the building trades and other unions. We have to teach our kids to have a skilled labor, because not everybody's going to go to college. We need electricians, we need plumbers, we need carpenters. So all those things we need to be ready to prepare our children for, because we have these old, aging facilities that we have in our city, especially in West Baltimore with all the row homes, that we need to have people build up. Well, if they had the skill set, it makes it that much easier. And so I look forward to working on those things and working with you folks to be able to collaborate to do more to help our young people. Thank you.
I would say, again, I'm 27 years old, and I am, of course, running for the 7th District, and I'll say, I think 3%, I do agree with that, because that's the amount that's been put aside, but I would say we need way more than 3%. Reason being we need more than 3% is this. Again, I'm 27 years old, and the reason why I keep saying that is because when I was my son's age, who is now 8, I've been hearing the same thing about rec centers, the same thing about schools. And truth be told, I'm ready for us to get rec centers open. It all sounds good. Truth be told, the children are being used and abused like those people that live within the 7th District. We keep hearing them during election day, our children, our children, our children. But how come more schools are being closed down? How come that young man that just spoke up here tonight is talking about a rec center that got closed down and a young man got killed right in front of the rec center? When are we going to make our youth a priority again? This is the day, this is the time that we say, forget all the good fancy words. People have told us this several times before. People that work in administration have had the opportunity. Everybody up here talk about, I worked in the mayor's office. I worked in legislation. I worked as a delegate. I did this, that, and the third. Here it is, I'm a public servant, only a pastor, never been in public, and never been a politician, never been in any of that. And here it is, I do more for our young people than these elected officials. It's time to raise the budget for our young people and make them a priority again.
Question number 3.
Can we start on this end? No, like
It's the rules.
Don't mess with me. We mapped everywhere in the 1217 residence area. Residents can buy hard liquor, and every place residents can purchase fresh produce. The ratio is 10-to-1. For every one place to buy an apple, there are 10 places you can buy vodka. Do you support the legislation to reduce liquor store density in the residential neighborhoods? Proposing zoning legislation has been stalled for years. How would you fight to see that it is passed?
Thank you. Before I answer that question, with all due respect, Mr. Pinkett, I'm going to have to just go back very quickly to the last question.
We can't go
Go
back.
back.
Okay, all right. But I disagree with you. We can set aside 3% for our children. That's all I'm going to say on that. Now, with regards to the liquor, there's a small error in the question because much of that is a state issue. Okay, these are state issues as far as zoning, as far as the number of liquor establishments within a legislative district. Now, what as a council person can do is we can lobby our city delegation to make that a priority in Annapolis. But what I have seen in my own experience, in my own community, is that we have power within this room as citizens to determine what's in our community, all right? We had a liquor store where? Right there at Woodbrook and Ruskin, wasn't it? And I'm a member of the Arkansas Terrace Neighborhood Association. And we came together, we went down to City Hall and we fought that liquor store because we didn't want that in our community, all right? That's where the power is. The power is in coming to City Hall and representing and being accounted. You just can't send us down to City Hall and think we're gonna work miracles. What it means is when I pick up the phone and I say, I need you to come down to a committee hearing, you gotta come down there. We're going down there, you're electing us, but we are coming down there as a family, as a team, as a community, because there's strength in numbers. So when there is a liquor board hearing, there's a bar that we don't want. You can't just think that it's just gonna magically disappear. It takes civic involvement, community involvement. We all have to play a part in making our community better. This is what it's all about. It's about community involvement, not just sitting people down here, because everybody's going to make commitments and promises, but we got to go down there as a team. Thank you.
While the liquor board is a state entity, the problems that face us are not state problems. They're city council problems. Right now, before the council, in our current Transform Baltimore zoning application, there are 3 issues that are right before the council that they can deal with right now. The first is something in the code that would allow that no liquor store can be within 300 feet of another liquor store. The second is one that would eliminate all non-conforming liquor stores. That means that if a liquor store is currently zoned differently, not zoned for commercial, that we would either eliminate that or have it change its use to something that's more productive for the community.
I agree as far as making sure that we don't have an abundance of liquor stores in our community. The one thing that I was able to do with my colleagues in Annapolis was to make sure that in West Baltimore and the Park Heights area, that liquor stores would be limited on what time they can open up in the morning. Too often we have liquor stores open up before the children even go to school. You have children walking to school, previously going into liquor store to buy candy because they sold candy. And so we cannot have our young people get into the habit of going to liquor stores for their goods and needs. Now, I do see an opportunity for us for some of the liquor stores that remain after we pass legislation to be able to reduce them for non-conforming uses, is that we have liquor stores where if they're going to sell groceries, they have to have up a firewall. When you walk up into the store, you can go to the right to go to the grocery store or go to the left and go to the liquor store. And some of those, and tell you what store actually has that. If you've ever been inside of an Eddie's that has a liquor store, the children who go and shop in there, they don't have to pass any liquor to go and buy food and snacks and things of that nature. So we need to have more resources to be able to make that happen to help some of these businesses. Some we shut down because in order for a liquor store to be open up on a Sunday, they're supposed to be selling food items, and they don't. They're selling just liquor. And so we have to shut those down. So I'm all for supporting to shut those down, and I'll be working with my colleagues in Annapolis and also working with City Council to get the bill passed to make sure that we don't have an abundance of liquor stores in our district and in Baltimore City. Thank you.
I'll say this, I have a personal experience with liquor stores. Right across the street from my church that I'm the founder pastor of is a liquor store. I fight not just Sunday, but all throughout the week to make sure that the individuals who frequently visit these liquor stores do not hang around or in front of the church. The reason why I do that is because I don't want to send the bad message to our parishioners and the young children that this is okay. First of all, we just talked about rec centers. If the rec centers are shut down and we see nothing but individuals frequently going in and out of liquor stores, what goes in a child's mind? That a liquor store is for them. So what I want to do when I am elected, I want to do with us together, is I want to bring a law that will develop, first of all, a certain amount of mile radius. That liquor store should not be liquor stores on every corner. One liquor store is too much in my opinion, but they should not be on every corner. In fact, in my community alone, Sandtown, Winchester area, you got at least about 3 or 4 liquor stores in a 1 mile radius. That's a problem. And yet, no, we don't have no libraries but one, no rec centers, and more schools being shut down. It's sending a bad message. And I want to make sure that I send the correct message, the right message to our young people.
Thank you. We have one more question. With all the different issues that residents want to see their selected official work on, the biggest issue is feeling heard and recognized. The 1,000 Central West Baltimore residents we talked to in our listening campaign do not feel heard by the city government, do not feel like city government reflects their interests and concerns. Will you commit to working with the No Boundaries Coalition, a resident-led organization, to listen to residents and work on their concerns? Will you meet with the leaders from No Boundaries quarterly?
The simple answer to that question is absolutely I will. And I would hope that we would meet more often than quarterly. The point of the question, I think, really was about community involvement, community engagement, and the people that you send, I don't know who it's going to be. It could be one of us, it could be somebody else who you send to City Hall. But the question is, are we going to be politicians or are we going to be public servants? All right? We've had enough politics. You know, my slogan has been people before politics. Politics, politics, politics. All the games of politics. But the question is, are we getting sent down there for the right reasons? And when we get down there, are we going to remember who sent us there? Every 4 years, you have an opportunity to elect and deselect somebody that you feel has not done the job. That's the beauty of the system that we live in, democracy. If you don't feel like I've done the job, you vote me out. We're about to move into a new phase in the history of Baltimore City. We have to move forward. We have to move forward with people who are public servants, people who don't forget who they were sent there to represent. You need fighters. We need people who are going to not just advocate for issues, but who are going to fight for issues and going to have a continuous dialogue with the people. This is the city council. This isn't Annapolis. This is city council. This is a day-to-day grind. Paul, you know this. This is a tough job. You have to have a certain kind of personality to go to the community meetings, to have a certain love for the people, a certain passion for this district, to go to the people, talk to the people, find out what their needs are, and serve the people. That's what a city councilman does. And so absolutely, I'll meet with you quarterly, I'll meet with you weekly, because I am your representative in city council. Thank you.
If I can be quite honest, when they sent us the questions, and I was preparing myself for the night, when I came across this question, I was really ashamed. I was ashamed that a community organization of any ilk would have to ask a councilman to make a commitment to a quarterly meeting. It's a shame that we've gotten that far, where our community associations almost have to invite elected officials to come out. Of course I would meet with, and I hope that through our interactions, we would engage more than quarterly. Quite frankly, when, in this whole process, everybody's been talking about April the 26th, and of course that's election day, and where everyone will vote. But if I can be honest, my focus is April the 27th, because for me that's the first day of work. And so, is there a representative from No Boundaries here?
Right here behind me.
You can go ahead and pencil it on the calendar right now. That can be our first meeting on April the 27th.
ask every last candidate that's sitting here before me tonight to give a round of applause for No Boundaries Coalition. No, I see the candidates. The reason why I said that is because, truth be told, I would support these individuals, No Boundaries Coalition, this organization, because these individuals are giving all of our campaigns a boost. Because what they're doing is they're registering people to vote. They're making sure they get to the polling stations, and truth be told, it takes some of the burden off for us. So that's why I say a round of applause. And will I work with somebody that help me help you? Yes, I will. And so what I'm saying is more programs and organizations that are helping out young people. I think it's necessary that we meet not just quarterly, but we meet every opportunity we have to meet. I'm not going to say the 27th, because truth be told, I'm going to be celebrating the win. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Can we keep it real? I'm going to be celebrating the win. So with that being said, I will, to answer the question, I will support organizations, not just like No Boundaries Coalition, but I'll be supporting every last organization that are working effortlessly to get to move Baltimore forward. Thank you so much.
We have some questions from the audience, and these are their concerns. You have 1 minute to answer the question. The question is, what is your plan for affordable housing and connecting existing residents to service to help them stay in their homes? Do you have a plan to help current renters to achieve home ownership?
Yes, I'll answer. I'll say I've been working on something again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not a politician, but I'm learning these things as I go, and I need your support to help me to help you. But what I would say is this: I think it's important right now that we really offer, which one of my running points right now, fair housing opportunity. What I'm saying is this: I don't think nobody in here should have to work over 40 hours a week and only see about less than 30% of their income. So what I want to do is this: I want to put a cap on rental properties that will allow you to be able to use your money for the other necessities like food and taking care of your children and things like that. So again, I want to work on a plan that will allow us to see more than 30% of our income, and that rental property should be its cap should be less than 30%. That's what I would say. Thank you.
Says here, what is your plan for affordable housing and connecting existing residents to services to help them stay in their homes? Do you have a plan to help current renters to achieve home ownership?
I do have a plan to help people achieve home ownership and also make sure we have affordable housing. One way to make sure we have affordable housing is when developers come in and they want to do luxury townhomes and luxury condos, that a part of that has to be used to also build affordable housing. That's how we keep our residents in Baltimore City. Too often people want to move out of Baltimore City because there is not affordable housing that's of quality, that are in safe neighborhoods. And that's how we build our city up. And then when I talk about people having skilled labor, that are electricians, that are carpenters, that are plumbers, they're able to help do the work and live in a city. And as their salaries go up, because I've always supported a living wage of $15+ an hour, when that happens, people can afford to buy better housing and things will get better for all the city that we represent. So thank you.
There was a lot of meat in that question. I'm not sure I can answer it all in 1 minute. I think it's important when we talk about affordable housing that the first thing we need to do is we have to identify resources for our seniors. Too often our seniors aren't, because they can't afford the renovations to their homes, the retrofitting of their homes, they're not able to age in place. And so we need to identify resources so seniors can remain in the community and not displaced because they can't keep up with the maintenance of their housing. A lot of people don't know this, but in the city of Baltimore, we're unique throughout the country. I think there's only a couple cities that allow it. That there's the potential for somebody who's currently on Section 8 to actually turn that into monies that can go towards them actually purchasing the house. So the reality is there are resources out there, and we have to be diligent to identify those resources so that we can inform people of the resources so they can stay in their homes and purchase homes.
said is right on point. I want to add just one more element to that, and I think you touched on it, Leon, and that's the element of financial literacy. We need to educate our folks on how to become homeowners. Because those of us who have been blessed enough to own a home understand that it is a process. You don't just say one day, I want to be a homeowner, and you're a homeowner. All right, there is a whole process. You have to develop your credit. You have to understand how to get loans. One of my ideas has been about developing economic incubators, all right, which is basically an idea of decentralizing or pulling out the Small Business Administration and putting it into different communities. I think a good place would be right on North Avenue, because between North and McCullough and about, I'll say, North and say Fulton are about 15 to 20 black businesses, and we want to put an economic incubator there for folks who have small business ideas where they can get resources and get the training. But at the same time, we can also educate individuals on financial literacy to make them more qualified to buy and purchase a home.
The next question, what youth programs have you supported or shared a model in 7th District of a successful youth program?
Young and quick. The one thing that I want to say about youth program that I support in the 7th District is James Mosier Baseball League. For the past 6 years, I've been a team owner. If you ever go to James Mosier Baseball, you'll see Sean Tarrant on the back of the young men's names. Just got my invoice today. And so James Mosier Baseball is very important because baseball is a sport that teaches children a lot about how to be competitive, how to be a good team member, and how to be responsible and how to win the right way. And so baseball is something that's been, it's the oldest continuous African-American youth baseball league in the country, James Mosier Baseball. And so I've supported it through bringing money to it, as well as my personal money as far as actually and my team is the Philadelphia Stars. I treat my players well. I'm kidding about that, they're 8-year-olds. But the thing is, it's a great league, so it's James Mosier Baseball. So thank you.
I just want to play something today. Would you please stand quickly? I just want to play something today. I was with the children today, and this is what I've been doing. Matthew Henson, which is in the 7th District. These are the young. Don't forget it. That's why I'm fighting downtown for a better uptown. I want to stop right there and say this. I'm the founder of BBLS, which is Baltimore Baseline Shooters. This young man was there with me today, and what was said quickly about the candidates who have asked to come to the school. Say it again? When I walked into the school, what happened with the young children when they seen me?
They embraced it.
And one of the young children asked me, can I sign his tennis shoes? I said, no, I don't want your mother to come to my church and tell me I owe a bill. But what I'm saying is this, y'all. I've been a part of our young people, and it's my plan to connect with you to stay a part of our young people. Thank you.
It's a great program, man. Congratulations. A program that I've been a part of is called Young Men with Power, Young Ladies with Class. An excellent program. You know the program I'm talking about. A good friend, Ryan, you've been there as well. A friend of ours, a really strong young man named Keenan Jeter, really brilliant, started a program, it's a young men and young ladies mentoring program, teaching young men and young women how to become men and women, teaching them how to dress, how to conduct themselves. We've taken field trips to the White House. It's really, I always enjoy it when I'm invited to come. I've lectured there a couple of times, I've mentored the kids a few times, and every time I'm there, it's really a joy to be there to share my experience, because something that I've always said, those of us who are older, guys like us, Wes, Sean, Leon, we have a duty to give back and to teach the young men what we know. That's our job, that's our duty as men, to reach back and show young men how to become men. Yes.
I presently serve as the assistant pastor at my church, and so I have the opportunity to sow into the lives of dozens of youth on a weekly basis, hands-on. I also, but quite frankly, and I have an opportunity to mentor in schools, and I've been doing that for most of my life. But the reality is I'm a coach for a baseball team, and right now the only team that I will coach and support is my son's baseball team. he's my priority as it relates to youth athletics. And it doesn't mean that I'm not supportive of the community at large, but I'm not going to deprive him. If I'm going to be a baseball coach, I'm going to be his coach. Is that all right?
We have one more question. What are your plans to improve the quality of our city schools in West Baltimore?
Well, here it is. It's good to have charter schools, but to improve, I want to promote more community schools. More community schools that will help not just the children, but will help the parents as well. The reason why it will help the parents is because it will allow the parents to be able to do or get more out of their day when it comes down to their hours, when it comes down to them making money. For instance, I'm gonna say this real quickly, I know my time is running, but I'll say this. When I took my son to the county to see my nephew play sports, my son was amazed. My son was amazed because when he goes back to his school, he noticed there's nothing there to excite him. And it's my job to make going to school a focus, the main focus for our young people. So again, I would support more funding community schools.
Yeah, it's a good question because it's a tough question. There are a number of things we need to do to improve our schools. First and foremost, Baltimore City needs to get control of our schools. Can I get an amen? All right. We've lost control of our schools. We need control of our schools. I am in support of at least a partially elected school board because our school board needs to be accountable to the people. Now, that's only on the macro level. On the micro level, I have previously worked at a charter school. And I'm gonna be honest with you, there's problems that I've seen with charter schools. I've seen folks who, I'll be honest with you, where I worked, I got the feeling that they were making money off of our kids. You're right, Wes, we do need community-based schooling with a careful eye on charter schools. The last thing I'll say is this, it's not just about the schools, it's not just about the teachers, it's also about the parents. Because one of the saddest things I ever saw was the lack of parents who came to our PTA meetings. Everybody has to get involved in improving the system. Thank you.
What I've done to improve the schools that are in my community, one thing is my children attended Baltimore City Public Schools from kindergarten all the way through Baltimore City College High School. Both of them are graduates of Baltimore City College High School. My daughter is a junior at University of Maryland College Park. My son is a freshman at Hampton University. And so I started a fathers group. There's not enough men working in the schools. There's one of the fathers that are here called the Tiger Paws to get men involved working in the schools, setting up, cleaning up, cooking, being involved. Also, I created the first father-daughters dance at Mount Washington Elementary. Also created the first father-son basketball game. The parents and the people who live in the community must be involved, must be committed, because if you have a good school, you have a good neighborhood, you have a good neighborhood, you have a good school. Thank you.
I think all the gentlemen before me have spoken eloquently. It's a shame that in 2016 we're still debating on how we get more resources for our schools. And it can't just be bricks and mortars. We have to also start identifying monies for programs. And the reality is all of our schools need to be community schools. Our schools cannot just, even if it addressed the needs of the student, it's insufficient in this day and age. Our schools need to have, and our administrators and principals need to have the resources. So not only are we addressing the student, but we're also providing wraparound services so that the whole family is benefited by that child going to the school. And I think part of the role as a council person is that we have to be able to have relationships that we can expand the pie. We have to have relationships where we can bring resources to a community that aren't presently in the community. I believe that I have the ability to bring those resources to help our schools become what we all desire for them to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Our candidates will now have their closing statements. It is 2 minutes. We'll start with Mr. Bell.
Again, thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you, gentlemen, for this discussion. I think we've had an opportunity to share our vision and share who we are with folks, and that's a blessing. Again, my name is Marshall Bell. I'm running for City Council here in the 7th District. I'm running because I love my district, because I love my community, I love my neighborhood. And I understand the challenges that we have in the coming weeks and the coming months are significant, but we can overcome them. I sincerely believe that in my heart. The question is, who are we going to send to City Council? Who's going to represent you? Who do you envision representing you in City Council? I think we need somebody like myself who doesn't just have vision, doesn't just have passion, doesn't just have the knowledge of the process, but somebody who you believe in your heart is going to fight for you. We need fighters at City Council for our district. We need resources in our community. We've seen enough building downtown, all right? There are lots of pretty buildings downtown. We need resources, we need respect in the 7th Councilmatic District. We need jobs. We have too many folks who don't have jobs. We have too much crime. We have too much of everything bad and too little of everything good, all right? We need fighters down at City Hall. Who do you have confidence that when there aren't any cameras around, okay, when you're not talking about on the floor of the City Council, but in those committee meetings where the real decisions are made, who's going to be at the table for you? Who do you really have faith and confidence that's going to support you, that believes in you because he lives there, because he knows the community? My family is from West Baltimore. I worry about my mom when she comes outside her door on Appleton Street. I worry about me coming outside my door in Gwynns Falls. We need folks who care about the community, who love the community, and who will fight for the community. Thank you very much.
No one in their right mind would have hoped for what happened this past April, but the reality is it did occur. And the fact that it happened afforded us an opportunity to affect change in West Baltimore unlike ever before. But how we handle that opportunity is going to directly impact generations to come. Oftentimes when people discuss West Baltimore, I'm disturbed by the fact that they always speak in light of the deficits or the detriments about West Baltimore. And rarely do you hear them talk about the strengths within West Baltimore. So if you would, for just a moment, first and foremost, as residents of West Baltimore, we are some of the most resilient, we're the strongest, we're some of the most creative, the most faithful people around. But if you would, just go with me for a second to Pennsylvania and North Avenue. If I was standing in that corner, we could walk from that corner to the Amtrak and be in DC in 45 minutes. You could walk down North Avenue and be in Hunt Valley in 20 minutes. You could walk to the only mall in the city at Mondawmin and go to the Target or the TGI Fridays. If you so choose, you could spend the morning with your family in one of the most beautiful parks in the nation, Druid Hill Park, and then spend that same evening walking to the Cultural District and catch a show in Mount Vernon. We have some of the most beautiful architecture in the city. We have MICA, a renowned university in the east. We have Coppin with $400 million of investment to the west. We have all of this investment. We have all of these strengths. We have all of these attributes. If you wanted to buy a house or start a business, there's no better place than to do it in West Baltimore. So why do our communities look the way that they do? I think it's appropriate that I'm in a church. There's this passage of scripture that says, where there's no vision, the people perish. Where there's no hope, families and communities wither away. We need leadership that has vision. We need leadership that can articulate a vision. We need leadership that can unify people on a vision. And we need leadership that can draw resources to a vision. Will you help me? Thank you.
Good evening again, and thank you for taking the time to be here this evening. The one thing I love about the 7th District is because we do have a lot of unique neighborhoods. When I think about the neighborhoods and opportunities we have here in Sandtown and the housing that we need to improve, and I mentioned about all the jobs that we need to create and make sure that happens. And I'm going to work to make sure we get good skilled labor jobs and make sure that we have jobs that pay well. Also, I look at neighborhoods like Reservoir Hill that have been on the up and coming for far too long. They have to get there. I'm going to make sure they actually get there. The Reservoir Hill is a neighborhood that it's supposed to be because its backyard is Druid Hill Park. I look at a place like Hamden and Medfield, especially Hamden, a place where people would never have thought to go to 10 or 15 years ago to bring their family for dinner, is now a destination point in the city for people to come because they have fine restaurants and they also have retail. They actually have retail in Hamden. On Black Friday, I was there with my daughter. We were actually shopping and having lunch. We need to have that on North Avenue. We need to have that in Sandtown and other parts of the district because we've done it once, we can do it again. I'm on the board of Baltimore City Community College working with them. I'm on the board of the Maryland Zoo, the #1 zoo in the state of Maryland. And I'm also on the board of the SPCA. And so I want to make sure that in the district that I bring together all these partners and make sure that we hire people. I have a friend that has a moving and storage company, and he's told me that he has never had a contract with Baltimore City Community College, and they're within walking distance from him, and then also Maryland Zoo. He's never had a contract, and surely they must move those elephants and monkeys around sometimes, and he's never had a contract? We can't have that in the city. We can't have institutions who do business with people outside of the district and won't do business with people inside the district. So we got to make sure those partnerships are there, and I'm the one to unite and work with the district and you and hear your vision. And thanks again, and I ask for your support and your vote on April the 26th. Thank you and have a great night.